Hello, and welcome to Vox Herald, your go-to podcast for the stories shaping Canada today. I'm your host, Sun Wan, and I'm thrilled to be with you as we unpack a critical issue affecting our nation's security and innovation. Recently, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, or CSIS, issued an espionage advisory warning federal departments and universities about an individual, ALLEGEDLY, seeking sensitive information for China's intelligence services. This isn't just a spy movie plot. It's a real threat to Canada's cutting-edge research, economic prosperity, and national security. Today, we'll dive into what this means for Canadians, from the labs of British Columbia to the policy halls of Ottawa. Stay tuned for a deep dive into the implications, with perspectives from across our diverse nation. Let's get started. Let's start with the facts. On Friday, CSIS confirmed it had sent an espionage advisory to federal departments and universities, warning about an individual attempting to gather sensitive Canadian information on behalf of China's intelligence services. According to CSIS spokesperson Eric Balsam, the agency urged extreme caution when dealing with this person and advised against sharing confidential information. Any suspicious encounters should be reported to security officials. While CSIS didn't name the individual or specify which departments and universities were targeted, they noted the advisory was issued in recent weeks. This isn't an isolated incident. The People's Republic of China is considered Canada's top counterintelligence threat, with a long history of targeting Western research and technology. From artificial intelligence to quantum computing, biotechnology, and aerospace, China is keen on acquiring Canada's intellectual property to bolster its own industry and military capabilities. In 2024, CSIS reported that Canada's advanced economy and research expertise made it a frequent target of pernicious PRC activities, threatening our economic prosperity. Let's look at some examples. In 2022, Yusheng Wang, an electric vehicle battery researcher at Hydro-Quebec, was arrested for allegedly stealing trade secrets for China. He faced additional charges last year, highlighting the ongoing challenge of economic espionage. In 2021, a scientist and her husband were fired from Winnipeg's infectious disease laboratory over concerns about sharing information with Chinese entities. These cases show how real the threat is to Canada's innovation sectors. But why does this matter to Canadians? First, let's talk about the economic impact. Canada's high-tech sectors, like AI, biotech, and aerospace, employ thousands of people and contribute billions to our economy. For instance, in 2023, Canada's tech sector accounted for about 5.6% of GDP, roughly $130 billion, according to Statistics Canada. If intellectual property is stolen, it could undermine Canadian companies, lead to job losses, and weaken our competitive edge globally. Regions like British Columbia, with its thriving tech hub in Vancouver, or Ontario, home to universities leading in AI research, are particularly vulnerable. Politically, this issue ties into Canada's broader relationship with China. The Hague Commission, which investigates foreign interference, has identified China as the most active perpetrator targeting Canada's democratic institutions. From cyber attacks to disinformation campaigns on social media, China's tactics are sophisticated and evolving. This raises questions about how Canada balances trade and diplomatic relations with China while protecting national security. 4. Example: last week, Industry Minister Melanie Joly ordered Chinese surveillance camera company Hikvision to shut down its Canadian operations due to security concerns, a bold move reflecting growing caution. Socially, this issue affects Canada's diverse communities, particularly Chinese Canadians. The Chinese diaspora, making up about 5% of Canada's population, according to the 2021 census, often faces unfair scrutiny due to these espionage concerns. Community leaders like Gloria Fong from Canada-Hong Kong Link have warned that China's influence tactics, like the United Front, can pressure diaspora members through harassment or coercion. This creates a delicate balance. How do we protect national security without alienating or stereotyping Chinese Canadians who contribute immensely to our society? Now, let's consider regional impacts. In Quebec, where Hydro-Quebec is a major player in clean energy, the Yu Sheng-Wang case hit hard. The province's push for green technology makes it a prime target for espionage. In the prairies, universities like the University of Manitoba are advancing biotech research, which could also be at risk. Meanwhile, in British Columbia, the space sector is growing, and CSIS has ramped up briefings to protect it from espionage and sabotage by foreign actors, including China and Russia. These regional nuances show that no part of Canada is immune to this threat. Let's dig deeper with some data-driven insights. CSIS's 2024 annual report highlights that China's espionage efforts are not just about stealing secrets, they're strategic and long-term. The report notes that China targets fields like AI and quantum computing because they're dual-use technologies, meaning they have both civilian and military applications. For context, Canada invested $2.4 billion in AI research from 2017 to 2023, according to the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research. Losing this intellectual property could set back our innovation timeline and give China a military edge. Cross-referencing with global trends, we see similar patterns. The U.S. Department of Justice's China Initiative reported that 80% of its economic espionage cases are linked to Chinese state interests. In 2018, the U.S., Canada, and other allies accused China of a 12-year cyber espionage campaign targeting intellectual property across 12 system countries. This global context underscores that Canada is not alone in facing these threats, but our open and collaborative research environment makes us a particularly attractive target. Let's compare this to historical data. In 2019, CSIS warned of a noticeable increase in economic espionage, particularly by state-owned enterprises seeking to acquire Canadian companies. For instance, in 2018, Canada rejected a $1.50 billion bid by a Chinese state-owned company to take over Econ Group, citing national security risks. These patterns show a consistent strategy by China to target Canada's economic and technological assets. From a community perspective, we need to hear diverse voices. Indigenous communities, for example, have a stake in this issue, as many are involved in resource and technology projects, particularly in Western Canada. An Indigenous tech entrepreneur in British Columbia might worry about foreign espionage undermining local innovation, which could limit economic opportunities for their community. Similarly, immigrant researchers, including those from China, contribute to Canada's innovation, but may feel caught in the crosshairs of heightened scrutiny. A balanced approach is crucial, one that protects national security while fostering inclusivity. CSIS's response, issuing advisories and increasing briefings, is proactive, but is it enough? The agency has called Canada a permissive target for foreign interference due to limited legal and political consequences for bad actors. For example, the Security of Information Act allows prosecution for espionage, but enforcement is rare. Since 2000, only a handful of cases, like Yu Sheng-Wang's, have been prosecuted. This suggests a need for stronger legal frameworks and international cooperation to counter these threats effectively. That's today's episode of Vox Herald. The CSIS Espionage Advisory is a wake-up call for Canadians to stay vigilant about protecting our innovation and security. Whether you're in a university lab in Toronto, a tech startup in Vancouver, or a community center in Winnipeg, this issue touches us all. It's about safeguarding the ideas and industries that drive our economy and reflect our diverse, innovative spirit. What do you think about this espionage threat? How can Canada balance security with inclusivity? Share your thoughts on X and at Vox Herald. Until next time, let's keep informed, stay connected, and continue building a stronger, safer Canada together.